All right, I got Chris Phillips here. It's time for QB1, and we're talking about Lamar Jackson. And Chris, the biggest question on everybody's mind, is he going to be back with Baltimore after this season?
That's the mega dollar question for sure. I know in talking with my friends in Baltimore, they're not so sure. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say they're probably in at 6 or 7. Like they definitely feel he will be back. He's just too much of a talent to not be retained. But at the same time, he doesn't have an agent. He's already said that once the season starts, he's done negotiating. So, we're just a few days away from week one starting, and there still is no word yet on his contract. So, time's ticking, and, Ravens fans are probably very stressed out and very anxious about it.
It sounds crazy not to have an agent in today's NFL to negotiate on your behalf or talk to other teams on your behalf. I mean, there's so much money at stake, but it sounds like he's the kind of guy who is willing to roll the dice on himself, maybe bet on himself. I mean, is that kind of what you forecast him doing heading into what is essentially a critical season for him?
Yeah, definitely. I think it is. You made a really good point. It is very interesting that he doesn't have an agent. We've seen some players do this in the past, and some have had some success with negotiating their own contracts. Some have also not, and I think actually more of them have not found some success in doing that. So it is interesting that he hasn't negotiated or hasn't agreed to a contract with them, and that he's going to be doing the negotiations himself. It kind of the last time Baltimore had a quarterback bet on themselves when it came to getting a contract extension, that was when Joe Flacco was their quarterback. And as we all remember, it took him to the Super Bowl. Joe Flacco won the Lombardi Trophy, brought it back to Charm City, and the rest is history. I'm sure Ravens fans are hoping that does happen for them again with Lamar, that Lamar brings them a title. I just think that they're also hoping that once Lamar gets that title, he doesn't have a downhill slide in his career abilities like kind of Joe Flacco did. So, it is interesting in that regard. Lamar Jackson definitely needs some help around him with Ronnie Stanley. When Ronnie Stanley was there, Lamar Jackson had an MVP season. And when he hasn't been there, Lamar Jackson is getting hit and sacked a lot, and it's affected his play and his ability. So, they really do need some help around Lamar and him to have a great season.
It's such a great point about Ronnie Stanley. I mean, Joe Flacco's got his own problems in New York with the Jets right now and everything that they've got going on. I think he's probably going to need some help as well. But when you focus on Lamar and just how different he is physically, I mean, so many people appreciate him for coming on the scene and being this fast, physical, aggressive quarterback. And the NFL really leaned into that style. And now I think they're maybe deviating from that a little bit and maybe favoring some of these pure passers. Lamar has put on, I don't know, somewhere in the vicinity of maybe 20 pounds of muscle. I mean, how is that ultimately going to affect him on the field this season?
Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously, if you put on the muscle, the hope is that he'll be able to take his body will be able to withstand the beating of getting sacked so many times and getting hit. But then you also worry about, does he add too much muscle that it slows him down a little bit more? Part of what makes him so great is that ability of his to run and escape and be dynamic with the football on his field and always have that threat of, once he gets at the pocket, he's going to score a touchdown no matter where he's from the field. It kind of reminds me of back when Marcus Mariota was with the Tennessee Titans. He had a great year. Then they said, we need you to bulk up so you can withstand an NFL season. And he did that, and it kind of affected his ability to run. Like he just kind of didn't have that extra step to get by defender or anything like that. So the next year, the coaching staff came out and they said, okay, he dropped weight because, if you're faster and you're able to get away from guys, then it's harder for you to get tackled because they can't catch you. So, that is a very real possibility with Lamar Jackson. Hopefully he is smart enough with his training staff that they've added enough muscle and strength that it hasn't taken away from his ability to run and be a threat on the ground, because his ability to pass is really good, but I think a lot of it is because the threat of his legs is so much more than his ability with his arm.
It would help if they had an alpha wide receiver. I mean, who is that guy for them this season?
If you're talking just wide receiver, it has to be Rashad Bateman. They let Marquise Hollywood Brown go, or I should say they traded him. on draft night to the Cardinals. So that would signal to everybody that Bateman is their guy, is the guy they want to be. But it's been a little bit of time since Baltimore had a number one alpha receiver. It's been, I don't know, since 2016 when Mike Wallace was on the team that they last had a wide receiver go for 1,000 yards. I mean, just if you're going for a receiver in general, Mark Andrews was the first one to go over 1,000 yards in the past 5 years. So they haven't really had that alpha receiver like you're talking about, and the hope is that Bateman can be that guy. We'll see. I think he can be. I think he's got the talent to.
And I'll leave you with this for QB1 and Lamar Jackson. I mean, early predictions now. Is he under center with the team in 2023? Is it Tyler Huntley? Who do you think?
Oh, man, Baltimore is a very smart and well-run organization. They do a masterful job of always being prepared for just about every situation. We've seen it from them with other positions and other players. So while Huntley has looked really good at the end of last season, right now I think it's Lamar that's still going to be under center next year.
All right, you heard it here first. Great stuff on QB1 from Chris Phillips. Chris Phillips, thanks.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more QB1.